Problem 2. One day, Aaron and Disha played several games of table tennis. At 5 points during the day, Aaron calculated the percentage of the games played so far that he had won. The results of these calculations were exactly 30%, exactly 40%, exactly 50%, exactly 60%, and exactly 70%, in some order. What is the smallest possible number of games they played? So Aaron and Disha are playing this sequence of table tennis games, and during the course of this sport, Aaron manages to achieve precise winning percentages. So 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, and finally 70%, but not necessarily in that order. We need to know the fewest number of games that might have been played in order that Aaron can achieve these 5 different precise winning percentages. And well, let's just begin with 30%. To say that Aaron has won 30% of the games means that the number of games that he's won divided by the number of games that he's played is going to be 3/10. And you can rearrange that easily enough to 10W is 3G. Now remember, W and G are whole numbers, so W times 10 is going to be a positive integer that ends in a 0 when you write it in normal base 10 notation. It ends in a 0. So 3G is going to end in a 0. The only way 3 times a number can end in a 0 is if the number itself ends in a 0. So G is a multiple of 10. Now, where else could we use this argument? Well, if you worked with 70%, you could put 7 here, and you would get a 7 there, and everything would work just the same. So, to get 30% and 70%, you must have worked with at least 2 multiples of 10. The same argument doesn't work with 40, 50, and 60% because you get some cancellation going on here. So that's good. Now, if we are going to achieve both 30% and 70%, we need to play at least 20 games, so you can have a 10 and a 20. Perhaps you need to play 30 or more games, but let's suppose that they can do it with less than 30 games and see what that means. So supposing that there are less than 29 games being played, it must mean that you get your 30% after either 10 games or 20 games. And correspondingly, you would get your 70% after, well, 20 games or 10 games. Now, can these really happen? So to get 30% after, shall we say, 10 games means that Aaron must have scored 3 out of 10. And to get 70% after 20 games, it means that Aaron must have scored 14 out of 20. That means that between the 10th game and the 20th game, a run of 10 games, Aaron has to win 11 of those 10 games, which is silly. So that's not happening. So we can forget that and that. Right, suppose instead that Aaron scores 30% after 20 games. That means he must have scored 6 out of 20. And he scores 70% after 10 games. And that means he must have scored 7 out of 10. That means that in the games between 11 and game 20, a run of 10 games, he must have won -1 of them. So that's silly as well. This doesn't work. So assuming that there were less than 30 games being played altogether gives us nonsense. So that can't be happening. So now let's see if we can actually achieve an appropriate sequence of games with 30 games. Right, now in fact it is possible to arrange for all these exact percentages to happen with 30 games. You just have to cook up a sequence that does it. Well, it could be that Aaron wins just one of the first two matches. In that way, he achieves 50%. And then two of the first 5 matches. In that way, he achieves 40%. And then 3 of the first 10 matches and achieves 30% that way. So far, Aaron's not been very effective. But now his form picks up. If now he wins 12 of the first 20 matches, that gives 60%. And finally, 21 of the first 30 matches, that gives 70%. So we're getting all the correct percentages. Is this really achievable? So we check. Aaron can win one of the first 2 matches, then he wins one of the next 3 to get 2 out of 5. And then one of the next 5 to give 3 out of 10. And then suddenly the form improves, 9 of the next 10 to give 12 out of 20, and then 9 of the next 10 again to give 21 out of 30, and all is well. So what we've shown is you can't do it with less than 30, and you can do it with 30, and therefore 30 is the fewest possible number of games they could play and have these interesting exact percentages arise as winning proportions. That's it.